Afternoon, everybody. My name is Michelle. I'm one of the dietitians here, and today I want to welcome you to our virtual group on hydration, why water is so elemental to how our bodies function. But the first thing I want to do is ask everybody, how many of you are water drinkers? Because I know that this is kind of an ongoing work in progress for many folks, is making sure that you get that 64 ounces or more a day. Oh, well, I'm very happy that I'm getting a response that most of you actually are water drinkers. Okay. What does part water mean? What's the other part if it's not water, Beverly? Propel. Okay. Good. Not 64, but yes. All right. Well, look, I mean, first off, let me say, for those of you who are already in that mode, great job. For those of you who are continuing to work at it, awesome, because practice makes perfect, as we all know. So yeah, hydration is really important, and we're going to talk about why it's so important, how it impacts not only your basic bodily functions, but how it can impact your choices, whether you're hungry or you don't feel hungry, and if you are, what kind of choices you're making because you're feeling that way. So for those folks who find it challenging, before I move forward with what our agenda is for today, or even for those who are already there, what is the most challenging part of getting in that 64 ounces? Is it the thought of just drinking that much water, timing, taste? I'm just curious, because I think that's important too. Well, Charlene, that's true. Having to run to the restroom 25 times a day probably isn't the most comfortable or convenient thing. So I agree with you. That can be challenging, but I think when the lack of thirst or drinking when you're not thirsty, yeah, those are important things too. And it's just like eating regularly. You may not feel hungry, but you still need to do it because your body needs that nutrition. And it's the same thing when it comes to hydration. It's even though you may feel like I'm not thirsty, you don't want to wait until you start getting those physical signs and symptoms of thirst because by then you're already dehydrated, and that doesn't feel very good. And building up to that, where I'm not saying you have to crave it, but you will get used to it, and your bladder will also start to get used to having the extra fluids. And initially, it may be you are running to the restroom more times than you would like, but over time, that will lessen. So just keep that in mind for those of you who are still trying to work up to that. I know the bathroom thing can be a challenge, but you can also get beyond that with practice. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to talk about. All right, so here's our agenda for today. We're going to talk about the role of water in the body, foods that can help keep you hydrated, dehydration, how much do we actually need, and practical ways to increase your water intake. Okay. All right. So let's talk first about some of the roles of water in the body. Okay. So drinking water, that's pretty much essential to your health, right? Water is present in liquids as well as in foods. All of these are essential daily to replace the large amounts of water that we lose each day. And we can get those fluid losses through your skin, and it evaporates like sweat, breathing, urination, and stool when you go to the bathroom. And these fluid losses can be replaced and should be replaced daily for good health. Okay, fluid losses are heightened in warmer weather, during strenuous exercise, high altitudes, and a lot of times, something to keep in mind with older adults, they lose their sense of thirst over time. So they don't always know, and dehydration is a really common problem with the elderly. So just some things to keep in mind. All right. So let's talk about the reasons why water is necessary. Number one, drinking water helps maintain the balance of body fluids. So as you can see from our friend here, There are a number of things that directly that water impacts. So it regulates body temperature. Without water, you would overheat. Okay. It lubricates joints. It lessens the burden on the kidneys and liver by flushing out waste products. So, one thing that I hear often is people want to do these, what do they call them? Like the cleanses. Okay. Your kidneys do a great job of cleansing the body. We just need to make sure we stay adequately hydrated. Water carries nutrients and oxygen to the cells. When you take medicine, for example, that's just a really simple example of how water will carry the medicine where it needs to go. Without that, it would be very difficult. The nutrition that you get from food has to carry it to the cells that need the energy. Water brings it there. It moistens tissues such as those in the mouth, the eyes, and the nose. So sometimes, like especially in cold weather, and we're not necessarily drinking as much, what happens? Your nose gets really dry. You can get bloody noses. You may need to use a humidifier. So it's really important from that aspect that you get enough hydration as well, regardless of the time of year. Excuse me. It protects the body, organs, and tissues. It helps prevent constipation. And lastly, it helps dissolve minerals and other nutrients to make them accessible to the body. So it helps to kind of break down and deliver. Okay? So number 2, mild dehydration is often masked as feelings of hunger when what your body really needs is fluids. And I think that this is one that is really kind of underrated by most folks, right? So a little bit more about this. The confusion happens in an organ called the hypothalamus, which is it's the part of the brain responsible for appetite and thirst. So when dehydration sets in, these wires get crossed, causing you to grab, say, a bag of chips when you really need a bottle of water. The way we can prevent this is by you staying on top of your fluid intake. So if you feel hungry, and I know I've said this to patients before, and a lot of times I'll just kind of get a look like, that can't be right, but I want you to think about this one. If you're feeling hungry and it's not your snack or mealtime, then I want you to try drinking a glass of water and then waiting like 15 to 20 minutes to see if that hunger subsides. If it did, then it was really thirst and not hunger. And also, when you're hungry, there are usually some kind of physical signs that you get to let you know that you're really hungry. So try drinking that water and waiting a few minutes to see what happens. All right, number 3, water can help control calories. While water is not necessarily, magic on weight loss, it does help you substitute for higher calorie beverages, which when you do that, that's when you can start to cut calories and it can impact weight loss. What works is choosing water or other non-caloric beverages over a caloric beverage and or eating a diet that is high in what we call water-rich foods, which are healthier and more filling and help you trim calories. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a few slides. Foods with high water content tend to look larger, and usually they're higher in volume, which requires more chewing. And then it's absorbed more slowly by the body, which helps you slow your roll and then helps you feel full, right? Water-rich foods include things like fruits, vegetables, broth-based soups, oatmeal, and beans. Okay, water can help energize muscles. So just understanding this, cells don't maintain their balance of fluids and cells that don't maintain their balance of fluids and electrolytes, they shrivel, which can then cause muscle fatigue. Electrolytes include things like sodium, potassium, magnesium, and calcium, okay? And what they do is they actually generate electricity in the body, which helps muscles contract, move water and other fluids throughout the body, and also help to support metabolism. So it's really important that we have foods, we consume foods that have those electrolytes in them, and that we stay hydrated to make sure we keep the balance of those in gear. Now, when muscles don't have adequate fluids, they don't work as well, and the performance can suffer. And I'm sure that, you know, when you've been working out, if you notice that you're not drinking before or during or after, you do not feel very well. There's a lot of fatigue with that. You just don't feel well. Um, Drinking enough fluids is important when exercising, and according to the American College of Sports Medicine guidelines, there's a fluid intake before and during physical activity. So you want to drink about 17 ounces of fluids 2 hours before exercise, and then drinking between 5 and 10 ounces of fluids every 10 to 15 minutes while you're exercising to maintain the fluid balance that you're gonna end up shifting through sweat as you work out. That makes sense to everybody? And I hope that you're all doing that. Are you all drinking before, during, and after your physical activity? Well, nobody's saying anything, so I'm going to assume that's a yes. Okay. If not, I really want you to give thought to that because hydration is key. Right? We don't want you to feel ill and then kind of associate working out with not feeling well. Working out's supposed to make you feel good, but you got to take care of yourself even when you're working out. It's okay to work hard, but make sure that you're taking care of your body. So during that time period, it's not necessarily about consuming food in so much as it is about consuming appropriate hydration, preferably water. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, water helps the skin looking good. Okay, your skin contains plenty of water and it functions as a protective barrier to prevent excess fluid loss. Your skin is your largest organ in your body. All right, so it's important to take care of that, and hydration is key. Dehydration can make your skin look more dry and wrinkled, which can be improved pretty easily with proper hydration. Water can help your kidneys. All right. Body fluids transport waste in and out of cells. The kidneys clean and rid your body of toxins as long as your intake of fluid is adequate. So here's kind of the rub on that. When you have enough fluid, urine flows freely, it's light in color, and it's free of odor. When you don't have enough fluids, and this is just another way for you to kind of keep in touch with your body and know when things are functioning properly and when they're not. And, something like this, there's a simple fix: water. When you don't have enough fluids, the urine concentration, the color, and the odor increase because the kidneys are trapping the extra fluid to use for other bodily functions like cell metabolism and things of that nature. So chronic dehydration or too little fluids puts you at higher risk of things like kidney stones. So just a really easy way to take care of your body and maintain things is to hydrate. Water also helps to maintain normal bowel function. I don't think this is probably a new one for anybody. Adequate hydration prevents constipation and keeps things moving through the GI tract, which obviously is very important. When there's not enough fluid, the colon pulls water from the stools to maintain its hydration, resulting in constipation. Adequate fluid and fiber is the best combination, as the fluid pumps up the fiber and acts like a broom to keep your bowel functioning properly. So when we ask you to have all those, non-starchy vegetables, make sure that, and if you're taking in a fiber supplement, it's important that you have enough water to offset that, okay? So just keep in mind, it keeps the gut healthy. When all that waste continues to sit in the colon, that's when we can have some problems, right? We want to make sure that that gets out in a timely manner. All right, so let's talk now, before we start, about foods that are hydrated. Does anybody have any questions about anything that we've gone through so far? how important fluids are to just the whole body balance, keeping kidneys healthy, keeping your skin healthy. All right, so let's move on. So now we're going to talk about foods that keep you hydrated. I have not, let me just say this, I've not listed every single food because we don't have that much time in our class. But I wanted to give you an overview of some foods that I think are key to most people's plan, whether you're in the Essentials plan or you're in Optifast and you are in the process of adding meals or snacks back in, all right? So let's start with broths and soups because that's kind of the most obvious one. They are 92% water. 1 cup of broth is made almost entirely of water, which can support weight loss due to the low calorie count. It fills you up without filling you out. Right? Studies have found that those who consume soup before their main course actually eat fewer calories. And if any of you have participated in Dine with a Dietitian, I'm pretty sure that you will remember us telling you at one point or another that this is a great way to kind of take the edge off if you are coming into the restaurant kind of hungry. Start with a broth-based soup. Okay. You can, of course, significantly increase the nutrition content of broths and soups by adding lots of non-starchy vegetables like broccoli, carrots, onions, mushrooms, and tomatoes. Another vegetable is zucchini. It's 94% water. And 1 cup contains more than 90% water with only 20 calories a cup. It also contains 35% of your daily vitamin C needs. Zucchini is incredibly versatile, especially as far as like a carb substitute, like for pasta. So you do the zoodles, or you can slice it and make kind of strips for a veggie lasagna. I would just say that because it's so high in water, and I learned this the hard way myself when I was making a veggie lasagna, you really want to just poach or cook that that zucchini ahead of time so that the water releases, and then you drain it and then build your meal. I didn't do that, and I had a lot of extra water in there. Now, it still tasted good, but there was a lot of water. It was a little messy. So just note to self, if you're going to use zucchini as a pasta replacement, you probably want to cook it first, let it seep the water out, and then just drain it and use it. But it's awesome for that. Celery is another vegetable, 95% water and only 16 calories a cup. It's a great source of vitamin K and potassium, which may help protect against heart disease, certain cancers, and bone-related diseases like osteoporosis. Then we have plain yogurt, 88% water. 1 cup is more than 75% water and contains important bone-building nutrients like calcium, phosphorus, and potassium. It's also great for its appetite-reducing high water and protein content. So, something else to think about. All right. Watermelon, it's 92% water. 1 cup has over a ½ cup of water. Good sources of vitamin A and C, as well as magnesium, and it's only pulling 46 calories a cup. So if you're going to have things like watermelon, any kind of fruit, we just ask that you pair it with a protein. All right, we've got strawberries, 91% water. They provide lots of fiber, antioxidants, vitamin C, folate, and magnesium. Eating strawberries on a regular basis has been shown to reduce inflammation, which can help protect against heart disease, diabetes, and various cancers. We have cantaloupe, 90% water. 1 cup delivers more than a ½ cup of water. And besides fiber, it's rich in vitamin A, providing 120% of your daily needs. Vitamin A is critical to eye health, good eye health. Studies show that vitamin A may also help boost immune health by protecting against infection. Just another reason to get your fruit on, but in moderation, ½ a cup. And keep it colorful. As you can see, we've got, red, yellow, orange. We have different colors, and you get different benefits from it. So again, keep thinking in terms of eating a rainbow. We've got peaches, 89% water. They are high in vitamins A, B, C, as well as potassium. And 1 medium peach, only 60 calories. So one other thing that I just want to share quickly about going back to watermelon is because of its high water content and very low calories, it has it's what we would call a low calorie density food. So these kinds of foods that are high in water and low in calories have been shown to promote fullness and reduce appetite. So something else to give consideration to as far as how it can help you on your plan and either maintain or continue to lose weight while still getting the vitamins, minerals, fiber, and your fruits and your veggies in. Um, Oranges, they're 88% water. There's almost a half a cup of water along with vitamin C and potassium, as well as those disease-fighting antioxidants in oranges. Regularly eating oranges may protect against kidney stones due to the citric acid that binds with the stone-forming calcium oxalate, and this will help flush out potential stones in the body. So there's something, this calcium oxalate that can cause kidney stones to form. So what it's saying is the citric acid that's in the oranges will help keep that from happening. Skim milk, 91% water. It provides vitamin A, calcium, vitamin B12, phosphorus, and potassium. And there are some studies that show how low-fat milk help people stay hydrated after a workout compared to sports drinks or plain water. So this is due in part to the electrolytes and the protein that's in the milk, which help replace body fluid losses. So again, milk, it does the body good, and now we see just one more way it does that. Something I want to, I've been mentioning all these different minerals and vitamins, and so I just want to backtrack a little bit and give a little more information on electrolytes, the magnesium, the calcium, the potassium, and why those are so important, because they're in virtually all of these foods that we're talking about. So potassium is good for heart health, and basically what it does is it triggers the heart to squeeze blood through the body with every heartbeat. All right, and that's important for obvious reasons. Magnesium helps also support a healthy heart and a strong immune system, as well as bone health and regulating blood glucose levels. It also helps with nerve and muscle function. And then we have vitamin K. And vitamin K is really used to help the blood clot. Okay? So I just kind of wanted to share that type of information with you at a super high level, just so you understand the importance of some of these vitamins and minerals that you're getting so easily in these high water, low cal foods. Right? Any questions so far before we move on to our next agenda item? All right, I'm going to keep it rolling. Let's talk a little bit about dehydration. We say that all the time. There's this big concern for it, but what does it really mean? What is it, and how can we prevent it? So dehydration occurs with the loss of body fluids, mostly water, when it exceeds the amount that's taken in. So we lose more than we take in. Now, people lose water every day in the form of water vapors that we breathe and we exhale, and water that's in our sweat, our urine, and our stool. Our bodies are constantly readjusting the balance between water losses and fluid intake. And when we lose too much water, our bodies may become out of balance or dehydrated. So, and you can also attest to this when you weigh yourself. If you weigh yourself first thing in the morning with, pajamas, very little clothing on, you're one weight. And then as you start to move throughout the day, even putting aside eating, if you were to weigh yourself an hour later, maybe right before you ate, you would probably notice that there would be a difference. You might be up a pound or a pound and a half. No, you didn't put on that weight. It's just a fluid shift. And that's what happens so many times throughout the day. So it's important that you continue that hydration because you have those fluid shifts. You sweat, you breathe, you lose fluids. You need to make sure that you get them back again through constant intake of water and other non-caloric beverages. Okay? So why do we get dehydrated? Some of the reasons include things like fever, heat exposure, too much exercise, vomiting or diarrhea, diabetes, impaired ability to drink, no access to safe drinking water, and significant injury to skin like burns, sores, and infections. All of those things can drain the body of fluids. So some of the signs and symptoms of dehydration include increased thirst, dry mouth, you're tired or sleepy, the urine is low in volume or is a darker color than normal, headaches, dry skin, dizziness, and, oh, there it is, hunger. All right. So how can we prevent dehydration? There are some simple things that we can do, right? This doesn't have to be a high risk proposition. You can plan ahead and take extra sports drinks containing those electrolytes we talked about, as well as plain water, to all outdoor events or work areas where there's increased sweating, activity, and heat stress, which will all likely increase your fluid loss. You can avoid exercise and exposure during high heat index days. So if you're going to exercise outdoors in the summertime, try to do it either first thing before the sun is up or at the end of the day when the sun is down and it starts to get a little bit cooler. Okay. Avoid alcohol consumption, especially when it's very hot, because alcohol increases water loss and impairs your ability to sense those early signs of dehydration. Wear light-colored and loose-fitting clothes if you must be outdoors when it's hot outside. You don't want anything sticking to you and then holding in that sweat, making it difficult for you the body's way of adjusting body temperature is through sweating. So you don't want to wear something that's going to stick to you like a second skin. And limit the time you're exposed to the outdoors in hot temperatures. Find air-conditioned or shady areas and allow yourself to kind of cool in between. There's nothing wrong with that. You're giving your body a chance to kind of catch up, and that'll give you ample time also to rehydrate before going out into the blazing sun again. All right. So we've talked about dehydration. We've talked about the importance to all the different functions in our body. We've talked about the foods that have high water foods. So now let's talk about how much we need. Well, there's no simple answer. Individual water needs depend on many factors, including your health, your activity level, and where you live. Water is your body's principal chemical component and makes up about 60% of your body weight. Your survival depends on it. Literally, a person could go more than 3 weeks without food, but only 3 to 4 days without water, right? The average healthy adult living in a temperate climate, and I want to stress, this is average. This is not a hard and fast rule. Men, about 124 ounces, which is about almost a gallon. And then women, 92 ounces. Now, obviously, based off of your health, your activity level, and where you live, and any chronic condition you may be managing, that will fluctuate. So I just wanted to provide general and stress general guidelines for men and women. Okay. Additionally, milk, juice, herbal teas, and even caffeinated drinks can contribute to your daily water intake. But water is the best because it's calorie-free, inexpensive, and readily available. One thing I wanted to say about kind of the 8 glass a day rule. Okay, that is not, it's not necessarily a scientific base. It was as a general rule. And what we do here, although we ask for a minimum of 64 ounces, I want to stress that's a minimum. And we really want you to have, especially in the warm weather like now, we want you to have more than 64 ounces because it's just hot out and you just walking in a parking lot to another building or walking outside if you're walking the dog. Those things, you are losing more than you would lose fluid-wise in the wintertime. So it's really important to get really more than that. This is just a basic expectation. And if you look at what we're saying are general guidelines of 92 to 124 ounces, I mean, 64 ounces is not a lot. It's not asking for a lot, but that's a minimum. All right, I just want to keep that in mind. So how can we increase fluid intake? All right, number of ways. Drink a large glass at what we call transitional times of the day. And by that, we mean things like when you get up in the morning, before you leave home, when you arrive at work, even after using the restroom. The more you start to work on building this habit, the easier and more mindless it kind of becomes. It just becomes rote. It becomes habit. And that's really what we want you to do. We want you to develop this habit. For some folks, as some of you shared earlier in the presentation, water is an acquired taste, and it really takes some time to build. But you don't do that unless you continue to practice it every day. Keep a large insulated water bottle or mug at your desk. I just feel like out of sight, out of mind. So if it's there, you will drink it. Try sipping from a straw. Some people feel drinking through a straw helps them drink more. Drink 1 glass each hour on the hour. Right? Dilute fruit juices with water as kind of a 50-50%. When you feel a craving for junk food or sweets, drink a glass of water instead. This goes back to that hunger dehydration connection. And usually when people are hungry, or they think they're hungry, but it's really dehydration, they tend to crave carbs more. Add frozen bits of lemon, lime, or oranges to cool water, or drink those infused waters. Create your own infused water. You don't have to spend a lot of money to buy it. Carry a refillable water bottle everywhere. Walking, shopping, driving, watching TV, doing laundry. I've gotten into the habit now of literally doing that. When I go out, I take my big 22 ounces. It's a double insulated bottle, and I throw my ice water or unsweetened tea. I just throw it in there when I go to do laundry, and it's always so hot in the laundromat anyway. I'll take it with me. When I'm out and about shopping, I have it with me. So I think, again, it all comes down to just practicing. Oh, Stacy, I'm so glad that you wrote that. A couple of sweet basil leaves in the water is delicious. Tastes like summer. Well, you must have kind of been reading my mind because I thought, and I want to see where it is. It might be that it's 2 slides away. Okay. Well, I have a recipe. So we will definitely talk about that, but I'm really glad that you added that and you're doing it because I've included an infused water recipe that I think looks pretty tasty. I hope you'll try. But in the meantime, I want to just do a quick, again, this kind of goes towards our hacks. So here's a water hack. If you are struggling for water intake every day and meeting it that minimum of 64 ounces, I have 2 apps for you. They're free. One is called Waterlogged, and as you can see, I just give you a little screenshot of what it looks like, as well as what the logo is, in case that's something you want to do. Waterlogged provides personalized charts and reminders to help you stay healthy and hydrated. Users can easily view their progress in meeting daily water drinking goals and customize the app based on the size and type of the glass or water bottle, which I love. So that might be something neat to download. And then there's something called the Daily Water Tracker. You can track your water intake and stay hydrated with water balance. You can log your water with a single tap, and you can stay motivated with goals and reminders again. And I like the visual there with the body. So I thought that was kind of a neat one to add. So if you are so inclined to really want to focus in, now I know Health Track obviously allows you to track your water intake through there. But if you want something separate and above and beyond that, these I think are 2 really cool, neat choices. And again, they're free apps. You can find them in the App Store. So just keep that in mind as well. And for those of you who are all about paper, if you are not so inclined to be tech savvy, I have included in your handouts the water tracker that is paper, and then you can just actually hang that up on the fridge or whatever. And so there's a manual way to do it as well. I didn't want to leave you all out. All right, so here we are. Strawberry basil water. This is super simple, very easy to do. And you want to know something? I mean, obviously we're in summer with all the fruit, but you can also even take, I mean, Costco, Sam's Club, they all have it, the big packages of chunked up fruit. So you could always throw that in the water and let it steep. It's probably going to take overnight to really steep in and get that flavor. But it's a nice way to, try to flavor your water. One more option. So um, if you download the handouts, this will be in there. Another thing that I kind of wanted to give a little nod to are the water enhancers. I know many of us use these because, plain water is just not for everybody. So I wanted to, some of these you probably already used, but there was one or two that I hadn't seen before, and I thought I would add and give you some options. Oh, I'm sorry. So let me just go back here to some questions. So Charlene, your refrigerator measures water in ounces. Oh, that's really cool. Wow. Talk about smart technology. Do you need a special infuser or just throw it in the pitcher? No, Stacy, you don't need a special infuser. You just take a pitcher, throw your fruit in, any kind of herb you want to add to that, and then just fill it with water and cover it with plastic, and let it sit like overnight. And the next day, you should taste it. You can drain drain the fruit out. Okay, super simple. Okay, so water enhancers. There's something called Stir. If you can't find them in the store, Amazon definitely has it. What don't they have? It comes in 5 flavors, and it's 0 sugar, 0 calories. It's high in antioxidants, vitamin C. It's gluten-free and kosher. Stir has no artificial flavors, artificial colors, or sweeteners in it. So that's one that you might want to look for if you just have a distaste of plain water. True Lemon Lemonade. I know that we have in the clinics the True Lemon, True Lime, True Orange, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, but I thought I would leave it on there anyway. But now they have lemonade. I have not seen the lemonade. So that contains only simple and clean ingredients, only 10 calories per pack. It's from stevia and some natural sugar, no artificial sweeteners, non-GMO, no preservatives or sodium. So that's kind of a cool option. Crystal Light, many of you are familiar with Crystal Light. It's sugar-free, just 5 calories a serving. And it has 92 calories and leading beverages. It's gluten-free and it's kosher. And then lastly, Mio. One serving provides 10% of your daily value for vitamin B3 and B12. It has no artificial flavors and 0 calories per 8 fluid ounces. So I just wanted to keep that as some options for you if the plain water just isn't working. All right, those are my resources. And that's the end of our discussion on hydration. So any questions? Why does Crystal Lake make me feel hungry? Oh, well, that's an interesting question. I'm not sure, and I'm not sure that it's the Crystal Light that's making you hungry. Do you find that this is happening at a specific time of the day? Or what time of the day are you having it that you're hungry? Because if our mealtime, remember when we talked about hunger, is it snack time and maybe you don't realize that it's snack time? Oh, well, here's my best guess at what might have been happening. If you, at that time, you said that was a long time ago, but I have a feeling that it probably wasn't the Crystal Light that was making you hungry. More than likely, you probably were maybe off on the last time you had something to eat, and you probably needed to snack on something, or maybe it was a mealtime. So I would guess, I have not heard anything or read anything about Crystal Light causing hunger, so I'm going to guess that might have been a meal timing issue that just happened to coincide with when you were drinking that. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Anything they'd like to share? Any quick water hacks that you may have that could help some folks who may be struggling a little bit? I know some people are typing in. Um, oh, okay, Dana. So you're saying if you're on shakes, drink water, 1 glass following a shake per episode. Really great advice. I give that to a lot of patients as well. I know if you're on full meal replacement or even partial, you still got to get that water in. So sometimes just pairing it with that eating episode really helps. That's great advice. Um, oh, the infused pitcher. Oh, that's pretty awesome. That's fancy stuff. I don't have that at home, but I think it's really great if you do have that. Um, Start drinking first thing in the morning, exactly, because that just gets you on your water roll for the day. So good advice. Um, a lot of what you guys are talking about is building habits. And I think it's important that, yeah, you share with each other and share with us as providers. You know, we don't always have every single answer. So sometimes things that you come upon through your own journey, can help everybody. So I think it's great that you're sharing. So Beryl, you're saying you found that since you've been on this program, you're not getting your water in and you get a really bad headache. Okay. So do you think some of these suggestions that we talked about today might help you increase your water intake? Um, because I would lay money on the fact that if you increase your water intake, your headaches would go away. Or even increasing the amount of, those some of those vegetables that are really high in water might help. Um, I'm just waiting to see the message. There's a response coming. Um, oh, no worries. The memory of the headaches getting you to drink water. Well, we definitely don't want you to have headaches. I'm sorry about the bad memories, but just think if you start eating some of those vegetables and including those in your daily plan, I think it won't feel so burdensome like you're just downing bottle after bottle if that's somewhat unappealing to you. So having a healthy balance, I think, will definitely help. What kind of oils are you using to flavor the water? You mean like essential oils, Beryl? I don't. I've not heard of that. Oh, interesting. Okay. Orange, lemon, lime. All right, cool. Well, listen, we all learn from each other. I wasn't aware of that, but that sounds pretty neat, and I'm sure it's pretty essential oils are pretty concentrated, so that must make a nice flavor. Um, Anybody else have any questions or comments before we part ways for the day? So I provided a couple of handouts, and one of them that I didn't talk about, we talked about it when we spent some time talking about all the water in food. So I also provided a handout that gave a list of more than I was sharing in the presentation today of some fruits and vegetables that you might want to consider increasing that have that high water content. Um, Well, we'll continue to work on water intake for you, Stacy. No worries. If there's only one handout, I had a couple, so if they didn't make it in, I will definitely make sure that they're pushed out to everybody after we finish here. I apologize, I don't know what happened, but we'll get those out to everybody so you can see. So it would be the paper water handout as well as the foods that are high in water. So if those didn't make it in, I apologize, and I will make sure that those get pushed out to all of you. Okay. So I just want to thank you all very much for attending the session. It was fun. I hope you are going to get your water drink on more, whether you flavor it, infuse it, or drink it plain. But it does a body good, and that's what I want you to keep in mind. So again, thank you for coming to group, and please hang on so we can get the survey to you, and you can let me know how we can improve things going forward, okay? Have a great week, everybody.